Ladies and gentlemen, announcing the arrival of our guest of honor, Yang Berhormat Senator Datuk Seri Abdul Wahid Omar, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan a very good morning to one and all. Yang Berhormat Senator Datuk Seri Abdul Wahid Omar, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department. Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Dr. Abdul Samad Haji Alias, Chairman of MAFCAP. Yang Berusaha Encik Muhammad Afrizan Datuk Hussein, Managing Partner of AFTAAS. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, a very good morning to you and welcome to the 2014 Budget Seminar presented here today by Parker Randall and AFTAAS. We are indeed honored and privileged to be able to welcome Yang Berhormat Senator Datuk Seri Abdul Wahid Omar, the Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, to officially open this seminar. Thank you. Terima kasih, Yang Berhormat, for your kind presence and support here. Thank you also to all guests as well as participants, and we do hope that we'll have a good and fruitful seminar here today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin the program with a dua, and for this, may we invite Saudara Muhammad Hafizuddin bin Mat Sharif to recite the doa. Silakan.
A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Segala puji bagi Allah Tuhan sekalian alam. Selawat dan salam kepada Nabi junjungan Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, para sahabat dan mereka yang mencontohinya hingga hari kiamat. Ya Karim ya Qahar, sesungguhnya kami berhimpun pada pagi ini bagi menyatakan kesyukuran di atas kurniaan-Mu yang tidak ternilai. Jadikanlah kami hamba-hamba-Mu yang senantiasa bersyukur, sama ada nikmat yang sedikit, lebih-lebih lagi nikmat yang melimpah ruah kepada kami. Kurniakanlah kepada kami taufik dan hidayah-Mu ya Allah. Bimbinglah kami ke arah kejayaan, keamanan, kecemerlangan dan kesejahteraan di dalam kehidupan kami di dunia maupun di akhirat. Jadikanlah kami orang yang bertakwa, senantiasa mematuhi perintah-Mu dan menjauhi larangan-Mu. Ampunilah dosa dan keterlanjuran kami dan jadikanlah kami orang-orang yang berada dalam keridhaan-Mu jua. Ya Latif ya Rahman, sesungguhnya Engkau Maha mengetahui bahawa kami di sini ingin menimba ilmu-Mu yang sangat luas bagi mengembangkan potensi kami sebagai hamba-Mu yang diridai. Ya Allah, kepadamu kami memohon, kepadamu kami berserah keselamatan dan kesejahteraan kami, pemimpin-pemimpin kami. Hindarilah negeri dan negara kami dari segala bahaya dan bencana. Tanamkanlah di hati kami sifat sabar, tabah dalam menghadapi ujian dan dugaan. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana haza jam'an marhuma wa tafarraqana min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma wa la taj'al lillahumma fina wa la ma'ana wa la man yattaba'una shaqiyyan wa la matrudan wa la mahruma. Allahumma ansur al-islam wal muslimin. Allahumma ansur al-islam wal muslimin. Allahumma ansur al-islam wal muslimin. Allahumma ansur al-mujahidin fil Falastin. اللهم انصر المجاهدين في أفغانستان. اللهم انصر المجاهدين في الشيشان. اللهم انصر المجاهدين في سوريا. اللهم انصر المجاهدين في مصر. اللهم انصر المجاهدين في كل مكان وفي كل زمن. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Terima kasih, thank you. And now, before we invite our host to deliver the welcome address, maybe call upon Cik Muhammad Afrizan to invite and accompany the Honourable Guest of Honour, Yang Berhormat, as well as Tan Sri Dato' Tan Sri Abdul Samad to take their seats on the stage. Silakan. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's our pleasure to call upon our host, Sheikh Muhammad Afrizan Dato' Hussein, the Managing Partner of AFTAAS, to deliver the welcome address. Silakan.
Yang berbahagia Senator Datuk Seri Abdul Wahid Omar, Minister in Prime Minister's Department. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Abdul Samad alias, guests from YAPIM, DPIM, valued clients, representative from MIA and MICPA, Tan Sri Datuk, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan salam satu Malaysia. It is indeed an honor and privilege for me to welcome you all of you to this auspicious event, the firm very own Budget 2014 seminar, the first to be organized by Pakar Rendal and AFTAAS. And thank you for your participation and support to our event, and I hope that you find this event beneficial to you personally and to your organization. And special thanks to our guest of honor, Yang Berhormat Senator Datuk Seri Abdul Wahid Omar, Minister in Prime Minister's Department, for his willingness to be away from his busy schedule and spend his precious time to officiate this event. Thank you, Datuk Seri. So before I proceed, I would like to introduce our firm, AFTAAS, an established audit firm formed in 2000, providing full range of professional accounting services. And over time we have expanded, and in 2001 marked an important milestone for us, where we joined an international firm, Pakar Rendal International, which in a way opening up borderless opportunities to the world for the firm. Pakar Rendal International is the top-ranked international association of independent audit firms, represented in 43 countries, with more than 50 member firms and 100 offices, with some 2,000 partners and staff worldwide. Okay. This event has been organized to provide an avenue to discuss and understand the impact of the recently announced budget by our Prime Minister on the 21st of October, basically to understand the impact of the announced budget to our business. And in addition, we have also today invited subject matter experts on GST from Malaysia Royal Customs Department to discuss and elaborate further on the implementation steps of GST for businesses. And at the same time, perhaps we can give our input on how you implement GST at your organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, the budget tabled by the Prime Minister on the 25th of October, with focus of strengthening economic resilience, accelerating transformation, and fulfilling promises. As announced, the 5 budget key areas are invigorating economic activities, strengthening fiscal management, inculcating excellence in human capital, intensify urban and rural development, and ensuring well-being of the rakyat. One of the budget initiatives, the introduction of GST in April 2015 and rationalization of subsidies are part of measures which will help to increase the government's revenue and reduce expenditure. These are indeed a good move to achieve our objective of having fiscal reform to have a better economic foundation for the country. As a firm, we see that the 2014 budget as a good plan to reduce our deficit and at the same time ensuring low and middle income earners will not be neglected. I think lessons learned from the Europe crisis, I think we all aware, they have taken compulsory austerity measures, and some of them having deposits more than 100,000 euros forfeited. So those are extensive measures. And for us, voluntary measures like GST will not be that bad. So I think it's a good way forward for the country. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not wish to take any more of your time, and I believe you are excited to proceed with our next agenda. And I would like to thank you again for supporting this event, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the sessions and gain the knowledge for you to bring back to your organization. So thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam and terima kasih. Thank you, Encik Muhammad Afrizan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure and honor that we now call upon our guest of honor, Yang Berhormat Senator Datuk Seri Abdul Wahid Omar, the Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, to deliver his address and thereafter to officially open this seminar. Dengan segala hormatnya, dipersilakan.
Terima kasih, Saudara Isyak. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang Berusaha Encik Muhammad Afrizan Hussein, Managing Partner of Afrizan Family Caruaza, or better known as AFTAAS, Parker Randall. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Abdul Samad Alias, Chairman of MAFCAP. Datuk-datuk, tuan-tuan, puan-puan yang saya hormati sekalian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Pertama sekali saya nak ucapkan banyak-banyak terima kasih kepada Encik Afrizan dan rakan-rakan daripada AFTAAS kerana menjemput saya pada pagi ini. It is indeed a great honor for me to be here. Some people might be wondering why do I volunteer to come here this morning. It is actually for two reasons. Number one, I've been asked by the Prime Minister to help explain the various government initiatives, the most, including all the budget measures, to the people, and to lend support to my colleagues at the Finance Ministry in doing so. So I think that's why you've been seeing me engaging with the people as much as possible to help explain the situation. And secondly, it is also to give due recognition to AFTAAS, who, to my mind, has done very, very well in terms of promoting the accountancy profession, especially among the Bumiputras. Now, AFTAAS may be small relative to the big four of PwC, EY, KPMG, and Deloitte, but I think, notwithstanding their size, I'm told that they have some 140 staff now and 4 partners. They are actually growing and focusing on some niche areas. And to that extent, I laud the efforts of AFTAAS and other Bumi firms in trying to increase the proportion of Bumiputra accountants in particular, where it is still lacking. And based on the latest statistics that I have, there is only 7.7% of Bumiputra accountants here in Malaysia, and that's actually very small relative to the 67.7% population that we have. So I do hope that all of us will do more to promote the accountancy, especially among the Bumiputras. And I see in the crowd today, there are many accountants, very happy to see that. And I also see, as noted by Tan Sri Samad, a very high proportion of ladies among the audience today. Now, this is not something negative. This is a demonstration of the diligence of the women workforce towards the accounting profession. So thank you for your support. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have prepared the text here, and it is not my intention to spend 2 hours to recite the budget speech of the Prime Minister. So perhaps what I thought I would do would be to maybe focus on 3 areas. One is to speak generally about the state of the economy, and secondly, to speak about the government's commitment towards fiscal consolidation, and third is to talk specifically about the hot topic of GST. Now, if I may start with the state of the economy, I believe that Malaysia is progressing very well. Although for the first half of this year, our GDP grew by 4.2%, which is lower than what we had anticipated. But that's on account of a slowing or more challenging global environment, and that's also on account of relatively low commodity prices that has affected the growth in our GDP. Having said that, we have seen good signs that the economy is accelerating faster in the second half, and that's why for the full year in 2013, we expect the economy to grow by an average of between 4.5% to 5% for this year. Now, for next year, in 2014, we expect the economy to do better. The global environment is getting better. The IMF, in their forecast, they are expecting the GDP for the global economy to grow from 2.9% this year to 3.6% for 2014. And within that context, all the countries are expected to perform slightly better, except for China, where China is expected to moderate to about 7.3%. But one of the more significant developments for 2014 in the global context would be the fact that Europe is expected to get out of recession from minus 0.4% in 2013 to a positive 1% growth for 2014. So that's a good development, and Malaysia being a major trading nation, a major producer and exporter, especially in the E&E sector as well as in the oil and gas sector, we are expected to grow better compared to 2013. So that is why we are forecasting Malaysia to grow by between 5 to 5.5% for 2014. So I think overall the economy is in a good shape. Now, the second part is about the fiscal consolidation on the part of the government. I think the government is very clear about keeping to our promises to manage our finances better. And this is measured on 3 fronts. Firstly, in respect of how we manage the reduction in our fiscal deficit. Secondly, in terms of making sure that we maintain a positive current account surplus in our balance of payments. And third, in terms of managing our debt and committing to keep the government debt level to within 55% of GDP. Now, on the first one, in terms of the fiscal consolidation, government is committed to bring down our deficit from 4% this year to 3.5% in 2014, and then going down to 3% in 2015, and eventually arriving at a balanced budget come 2020. And how are we going to do that? Obviously, we're going to increase the revenue and optimize our spending. Now, I'll come to that in terms of the revenue a bit later. Now, apart from that, we also committed to maintaining the government debt level to within 55%. So indeed, we are currently at around the 53% level. And we believe that with the various approaches towards funding the economic activities, and the fact that we're now relying more on private investments to grow the economy. So for example, for 2014, we are expecting private investments to amount to 189 billion ringgit compared to public investment at 106 billion ringgit. So that in many ways will help reduce the government's own commitment to fund some of these projects ourselves. So this is being done through collaboration with the private sector, the many public-private partnership projects that we are embarking on. So that means that our commitment to maintain government debt to within 55% of GDP should be realized. The third one is in respect of the commitment to maintain current account surplus. Now, we have seen our trade surplus and therefore our current account surplus narrowing. Now, for the first half of this year, it had narrowed down from the 25 billion last year to 11.2 billion ringgit. It is still a surplus though. The narrowing surplus has been as a result of the drop in exports by 2.9% in the first half of this year, as well as an increase in import of 0.8%. Now, when you arrive at the situation, so naturally the trade surplus will narrow, and the current account will also narrow. Now, the exports had come down mainly because of the lower commodity prices compared to the same period last year. So let me cite just the example of CPO, for example, that had dropped by about 20%, and likewise in the case of rubber has also dropped by about the same margin as well. So that had contributed to the 2.9% in our exports. Now, at the same time, our imports continued to grow, although at a very small rate of 0.8%. And that's on account of the many capital goods and intermediate goods that we had imported. And among others, we had imported quite a number of aircrafts, either by Malaysia Airlines or AirAsia and Malindo Air included. But to me, I wouldn't worry too much about this because these are capital items that will generate revenue and economic activities moving forward. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that I wouldn't worry too much. I don't think we will get into a deficit situation. So I think the idea would be for Malaysia to maintain a healthy current account surplus so that we will avoid a twin deficit situation. And in that respect, we do, however, have to monitor the capital flows to make sure that we bring in as much investments as possible, whilst at the same time managing the flow of investments by Malaysian companies abroad. Now, many Malaysian companies, multinationals and investment funds have started to invest abroad in a big way, whether it's Petronas or Maybank or CIMB or Axiata and many other companies have already started to invest abroad. And again, I wouldn't worry too much about that because these are investments in good companies, good projects that will eventually bring streams of revenue for the future. But I guess where we have to watch out closer would be financial investments in properties in markets like Singapore, Australia, and London in particular, from among the many funds. Whilst it's okay to invest abroad looking for good investment returns, but we must make sure that we do it at a pace that will not affect negatively on the balance of payments of the country. I think we are actually monitoring all this, and we are confident that we will not get into a twin deficit situation for 2013, even for 2014 as well. So that's in respect of the fiscal consolidation. Now, on the expenditure side, we are committed to manage our expenditure or optimize our expenditure better. We have been looking at trying to reduce our subsidies And this has been mentioned before, the fact that we spent some 47 billion ringgit in terms of total subsidies in fuel, in the food, and many other items. Now, that's a very, very large bill. And out of that 47 billion ringgit, more than half, 24.8 billion ringgit, is actually being spent on subsidizing petrol, diesel, and LPG. Now, that's a huge amount. As a percentage of our revenue, that's almost 12%. Now, I don't recall any other countries in the world, or any organizations for that matter, would spend that much proportion of their income onto fuel. So I think this is where the government has decided to rationalize the subsidy, but it will be implemented over time. It will be done at a pace that will be acceptable to the people, and we started with a 20-cent reduction per litre from the 3rd of September this year. And I think that's something which we will have to actually continue, but again, as I said, it will have to be done gradually and over time. And the next item that we actually looked at, among the various food items, it is very clear between cooking oil and rice and flour. We believe that sugar is actually an item where it doesn't justify us continuing with the subsidy, and that's why we have decided to actually remove that subsidy. Now, last year we spent some more than 400 million ringgit in terms of sugar subsidy. This year the amount is actually a bit less, 128 million for the first 9 months, if I'm not mistaken, and that's on account of the lower international sugar price. But we believe that it is still money not well spent under the circumstances, and that's why the reason to actually remove the subsidy in sugar. And the impact is actually very, very minimal, 34 cents per kilogram. So meaning that from 250, the price is now at 284. I'm seeing a number of ladies here nodding their head to acknowledge the price increase. But if you were to look at it objectively, the impact is actually quite minimal. For example, last Sunday, I just wanted to confirm how much sugar there is in 1 teaspoon. I know each sachet that you may have in front of you will typically contain 5 grams, but if you measure 1 teaspoon, it's also approximately 5 grams. So if you assume that 1 cup will use 1 teaspoon, or 1 glass will use, say, 2 teaspoons, so within the context of 1 kilogram of sugar, so that would be good to cover 100 glasses, assuming that we use 2 teaspoons per glass of coffee or of tea. Now, what that means is that that increase of 34 cents for a kilogram, divided by 100 glasses, the cost increase per glass is less, it's only 0.34 cents, not even 1 cent per glass. Therefore, there is no justification whatsoever for any restaurant operators to increase the price of your tea or coffee. So in that respect, if one of the restaurants were to increase the price, you can actually argue with them on that.